You don't need more to feel whole. You don't need clearer answers, a different past, or a perfect plan. What you need, what you've always needed, is already here. But most of us are too distracted to notice, too busy searching for something better, to see the beauty of what already is. We've been trained to look forward, to reach, to strive, to long for a life just out of reach. But what if the most powerful transformation doesn't come from doing more? It comes from pausing, from seeing, from receiving the life you already have. In this video, we'll return to the forgotten practices that open the door to peace. Gratitude, stillness, release, and living in alignment with who you truly are. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop making war with the moment. Let's begin. There's a quiet kind of wealth that most people never see. Not because it isn't there, but because they've been taught to overlook it. To look past the present moment in search of something shinier, louder, more impressive. We're conditioned to measure life by what's missing, to walk through each day scanning for problems, for gaps, for not-yets. And so we miss it. We miss the miracle of breath, the softness of morning light through a window, the fact that somehow our hearts keep beating without needing to be told how. We wait for something grand to be grateful for. But gratitude doesn't begin with grand gestures. It begins when we pause long enough to see what's already here. Gratitude is the shift from scarcity to sufficiency. It's the lens that turns not enough into more than I realized. It's not blind optimism or forced cheerfulness. It's not pretending everything is perfect. It's simply presence with open eyes. When you practice gratitude not as a reaction but as a way of seeing, you begin to notice how rich your life already is. You stop waiting for the big break, the perfect love, the solved life. You start waking up to the small sacred moments you were stepping over. That sip of warm tea, the laughter of a friend, the fact that you've survived every day you thought you wouldn't, that you're still here, still breathing, still becoming. That's not small, that's everything. But here's the hard truth. Most of us have been taught to see gratitude as an afterthought. Something we feel only after life gives us what we want. But true gratitude comes before. It's not a reaction, it's a choice, a muscle, a practice. You don't wait for life to be easy to feel thankful. You begin feeling thankful and life starts to feel lighter. Why? Because what you focus on expands. When you focus on what's missing, lack becomes your worldview. When you focus on what's working, on what's present, on what's beautiful, even in brokenness, that becomes your foundation. Gratitude is not about ignoring pain, it's about making room for more than pain. It's holding sorrow in one hand and wonder in the other. It's a remembering that life isn't either or it's both. And in that remembering, something opens. You stop trying to earn joy. You start noticing it. You stop chasing wholeness. You start remembering it. Because the truth is, life is full of gifts always. But if you're too busy looking forward, you won't see what's right in front of you. Gratitude brings you back to this moment, back to your breath, back to the enoughness of now. It reminds you that fulfillment isn't found in the next thing, it's uncovered in the noticing of this thing. And, it's not always easy, especially when you're hurting, when you're grieving, when you're exhausted. But that's exactly when gratitude becomes most powerful, because it doesn't deny your struggle. It simply whispers, and there's still something good here. Maybe it's the way someone looked at you with kindness. Maybe it's the fact that you made it through another hard day. Maybe it's just the warmth of your blanket at night. Simple, real, undeniable. That's where gratitude begins, not in the extraordinary, but in the ordinary moments we usually rush past. And when you begin to live this way, eyes open, heart soft, life changes. You begin to feel more grounded, more at peace. Not because everything is fixed, but because you've stopped needing everything to be different to feel alive. Gratitude roots you. It brings you back from the edge of what if and not yet and someday. It says, this, here, now, is already worthy of your presence. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. You start waking up and looking for one thing, just one that you can thank life for. You start writing down the quiet moments of enoughness like tiny anchors to hold you steady. You begin speaking thank yous out loud to people, to your body, to the sky. Not out of obligation, but because your awareness has grown deeper, and with that depth comes peace. Not the kind that waits for life to be perfect, but the kind that grows stronger even in imperfection. So, if you're feeling disconnected, empty, lost, don't try to solve everything all at once. Just start with noticing one breath, one kindness, one thread of light in the fabric of your day. Let gratitude bring you back to the present. Let it soften your expectations. Let it open your heart. Because you don't need more to feel whole. You just need to see what was already here. And that seeing that presence is the beginning of inner freedom. We live in a world that worships noise. Not just the noise you hear, but the noise you carry. The to-do lists, the endless scroll, the opinions, the doubts, the shoulds that follow you everywhere. We're surrounded by sound, movement, expectation, and somewhere in all of it, we lose touch with something essential. Ourselves, not the version of you that you show the world, not the person others expect you to be, but the quiet, unedited self, the one that speaks softly beneath the surface of your roles, your goals, your responsibilities. That part of you still exists. It always has. But it can only be heard in stillness. Stillness is not just the absence of activity. It's a presence all its own. A returning, a remembering, a sacred pause where you can finally hear what your soul has been trying to say all along. Most people are afraid of stillness. They say, I can't sit still. It's boring. My thoughts get too loud. But that discomfort is the doorway. It's not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something is surfacing. Something you've been too distracted to feel. Stillness is not about silencing your thoughts. It's about noticing them without letting them carry you away. It's about sitting in the center of your storm and realizing you are not the storm. You are the awareness inside it. And in that realization, something sacred unfolds. You begin to meet yourself not as a project to be fixed, but as a presence to be witnessed. You begin to notice the layers you've been wearing, trying to be productive, successful, liked. And underneath all of them, you begin to feel something softer, something truer, something ancient and whole. Stillness does that. It takes you beyond your identity, beyond your story, beyond your stress and strategy and self-image. It returns you to essence. Not in theory, but in felt experience. You sit, you breathe. You stop trying to fix or change or chase. And in that sacred non-doing, your nervous system begins to soften. Your mind begins to slow. Your breath deepens. And who you are beneath the doing begins to rise. You begin to remember that you are not just a thinker, you are the witness of thought. You are not just a doer, you are a being. And your worth has never depended on your productivity. In stillness, you start to hear things that matter. The truth that your body has been trying to tell you. The boundaries you've been afraid to set. The grief you haven't let yourself feel. The joy that's been quietly waiting for permission to return. Stillness does not create these truths, it simply reveals them. And yes, it can be uncomfortable, because when you slow down, everything you've been avoiding comes into view. But that's not a problem, that's the healing. You can't heal what you won't feel. And you can't feel what you never slow down enough to face. Stillness is the medicine. Not because it fixes you, but because it holds you. It offers you space. And in that space, you begin to untangle yourself from the noise. You stop believing every thought. You stop reacting to every emotion. You stop needing every moment to entertain or validate you. And something miraculous happens. You begin to exist. Not for anyone else. Not for performance. Just as you are. Breathing here. Now. And that is more than enough. Stillness reconnects you with the present. And the present is the only place where life is ever happening. Everything else, past, future, regret, anticipation, it's noise in the mind. But presence is real. And it's only accessible through stillness. That doesn't mean you have to sit on a mountaintop or meditate for hours. Stillness can be a single breath before you speak. A silent morning walk without your phone. A few minutes in the car before you turn on the music. The moment before sleep when you place a hand on your heart and simply feel yourself there. These are not interruptions, these are invitations. And the more you say yes to them, the more you begin to feel like you again. The you that isn't trying so hard. The you that isn't exhausted by pretending. The you that is already whole. Stillness isn't a luxury. It's a return, and every return brings you closer to your truth. So if you've been feeling lost, scattered, like you're constantly chasing and never arriving, don't speed up. Slow down, pause, sit. Even if just for a minute, not to escape your life, but to meet it fully, to meet yourself gently, without judgment, without striving. Stillness doesn't demand anything from you. It simply waits like an old friend until you remember it's always been there. And when you remember, when you come home to that quiet, you'll know you were never really disconnected, you were just distracted. Most of us don't suffer because life is painful, we suffer because it's different from the story we wrote in our heads. We had a script, how things should go, who should love us, what success should look like, when healing should arrive. And when life diverges from that imagined path, we tighten, we resist, we question everything. This isn't how it was supposed to be. That sentence haunts more people than any real failure ever could. But here's the truth that sets you free. Life is not here to obey your expectations. It's not here to match your plans. It's here to unfold in its own time, in its own rhythm, and often in ways your mind could never predict, but your soul will one day understand. the more attached you are to how life should go, the more pain you will carry. Because life will break the rules you didn't know you were trying to enforce. It will rewrite chapters mid-sentence. It will end relationships you thought were forever. It will offer detours, delays, and reroutes without warning. And while this can feel brutal, it's also beautiful. Because every time life breaks your imagined path, it's inviting you into something deeper than control, trust. But trust doesn't come easy when you've been trained to expect a certain outcome. We're taught that a good life follows a predictable arc. Study hard, work hard, build stability, find love, stay safe. And when those things don't appear or don't last, we feel like we've failed. But what if it's not failure? What if it's freedom? The freedom to stop forcing. The freedom to stop measuring your worth by how well life matches the vision board in your head. The freedom to meet life as it is, not as it was supposed to be. You are allowed to grieve the version of your life that didn't happen. You are allowed to sit with the disappointment, the confusion, the sting of unmet expectations. But then when you're ready, you're also allowed to let it go. Because holding on to the old story won't make it come true. It will only blind you to the unexpected gifts of the story that's actually unfolding. And there are always gifts. They may not come in the form you expected. They may not arrive on the timeline you imagined, but they are real. And they are waiting in the space you create when you release your grip. Releasing attachment is not apathy. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you can still dream, still plan, still desire, but without being ruled by those desires. You begin to hold everything in life with open palms, not because you're indifferent, but because you trust that what's meant for you will stay. And what's not meant for you was never yours to keep. This is one of the most powerful shifts you will ever make. You stop saying life is unfair, and you start saying life is unfolding. You stop asking why me, and you start asking what now. You stop waiting for the perfect path, and you begin walking the one beneath your feet. And suddenly you start to feel lighter. Not because your life is finally perfect, but because you've stopped demanding that it be. You've released the imaginary timeline. You've forgiven the past version of you who thought things would go differently. You've made peace with uncertainty, not because it's easy, but because resistance is heavier than surrender. This kind of surrender is not weakness, it's strength. The strength to admit that you don't have all the answers. The strength to stay open when your plans fall apart. The strength to choose peace over control. And when you live this way, something opens. You begin to find beauty in detours. You begin to fall in love with the present instead of chasing the future. You begin to see that even when nothing goes according to plan, life still shows up with meaning, with mystery, with depth. You stop needing to explain everything. You start trusting your capacity to respond to anything. You become less interested in scripting the future and more curious about how this exact moment is here to shape you, because it is. Right now, whatever your life looks like, whatever didn't work out, whatever hurts you are being shaped into someone wiser, softer, stronger. But only if you let go of what should have been. Only if you stop clinging to what almost happened. Only if you allow space for life to meet you with what's here, not what's missing. So take a breath, loosen the grip, not all at once, not perfectly, just enough to say, I don't need life to go a certain way to feel whole. I don't need to know the ending to find peace in the middle. I am allowed to trust even when I don't understand. Because maybe your greatest freedom isn't found in holding on. Maybe it's found in the courage to let go. There comes a point in your life when you realize no amount of approval from others will ever make you feel whole if you're not living in alignment with yourself. It doesn't matter how many people like you, follow you, praise you, or validate your choices. If those choices betray your inner truth, the applause will always feel hollow. Approval is loud, but fleeting. Alignment is quiet, but unshakable. And yet, many of us spend years, sometimes lifetimes, chasing the former while neglecting the latter. We learn it early. As children, we're rewarded for fitting in, for being agreeable, for doing what's expected. We're taught that belonging means being good. And being good often means suppressing what feels real, raw, or different within us. So we contort ourselves. We shift in friendships. We people please in love. We overperform at work. We smile when we want to cry. We say yes when our whole body is screaming no. And over time, the disconnect grows. Not because anyone else forced it on us, but because we believed the lie that fitting in was more important than feeling true. But approval is an endless hunger. It always wants more. And the more you feed it, the more it starves your soul. Living for approval feels safe in the moment, but it costs you something far more precious, your authenticity. And here's the thing about authenticity. It can't be faked. You can't appear aligned. You either are or you're not. You either wake up with a quiet yes in your chest, or you wake up with the heaviness of someone else's life on your shoulders. And when that heaviness stays long enough, it becomes fatigue. Not just physical tiredness, but soul tiredness. The kind that no amount of rest can fix, because what you need isn't sleep. What you need is truth. Alignment is truth in action. It's not about perfection. It's not about having your life figured out. It's about making choices that feel honest, grounded, and meaningful to you, even if they confuse other people. And yes, that can be scary. When you stop seeking approval, you'll disappoint people. You'll unsettle those who benefited from your silence. You might lose relationships that were built on your ability to shrink. But what you'll gain is far more sacred. Yourself. You'll begin to recognize your own voice again. Not the voice that echoes what others want to hear, but the voice that rises up from within when you get still enough to listen. You'll start asking new questions. Does this decision honor my values? Does this relationship make space for my growth? Am I saying yes because I mean it, or because I'm afraid of saying no? These questions won't always lead to easy answers, but they will lead to alignment. And alignment brings something that approval never can: peace. Because when you're in alignment, you don't need constant reassurance. You don't need everyone to agree. You don't need to keep proving yourself. You move through the world with a quiet kind of confidence, not loud, not defensive, but rooted. You know who you are. And more importantly, you know who you're not willing to be anymore. But alignment also requires courage. The courage to leave what no longer fits. The courage to speak up when your voice shakes. The courage to be misunderstood and still stay grounded in your truth. This isn't rebellion, it's responsibility. You are the only one who can live your life. The only one who can feel what's right for you. the only one who will live with the consequences of your choices. So don't outsource your life to other people's preferences. Don't abandon your truth just to avoid discomfort. Don't trade authenticity for applause. Instead, begin the journey back to yourself. Start by noticing where you feel out of alignment. Where do you feel tension in your body when you say yes? Where do you feel numb, disconnected, unseen? Then ask yourself, what would alignment look like here? Not what's easiest, not what's most praised, but what feels true. And begin imperfectly, gently to follow that truth. It might look like setting a boundary, changing a habit, leaving a role, speaking your heart. It doesn't have to be drastic, it just has to be real. And the more you choose alignment, the easier it becomes. Not because life gets simple, but because you get clear. You stop wasting energy trying to be everything to everyone. You start showing up as someone who is whole, present, and real. And from that place, you begin to attract people who see you, not the mask. Opportunities that align, not just impress. Peace that stays, not just visits. Because when you are aligned, you stop living a performance and you start living a life. A life that doesn't require constant chasing. A life that feels like coming home. And home, after all, is not a place out there. It's the space within you that says, this is who I am, and this is enough. If something in this video made you pause, if your chest softened or your breath deepened, if you felt even for a moment that quiet remembering of who you truly are, then hold on to it. Not with urgency, not with pressure, just gently. Let it live in you, because the world will try to pull you away again. It will tempt you to chase approval, to grip control, to abandon the present in favor of a life that always feels just out of reach. But now you know the way back. Gratitude can ground you. Stillness can reveal you. Letting go can free you. And alignment will return you to yourself. This is your practice now. Not to fix yourself, but to feel yourself. To live not from fear or expectation, but from presence, from trust, from truth. And if this journey resonates with you, if these words feel like home, then share this message. Someone you know may be holding their breath, quietly asking the same questions you've carried in your heart. Invite them into the stillness, into the remembering, into the freedom that lives inside them too. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. This space is here to walk beside you on your quietest days, your most uncertain moments, your most honest returns. There are more reflections waiting for you, more reminders, more breaths. You don't need more time. You don't need more answers. You just need this moment